Alright guys, there's a whole lot of really bullish things going on in the market, even though the price action is actually trying to bore us to death. So let me tell you why I think we're about to explode and go to the upside. At the time of recording, Bitcoin is still sitting at about $61,500, but on the hourly chart, it does look like it's finally starting to put in a bullish divergence here, and if we can continue to the upside here, I think it's going to confirm it and hopefully send us for a higher high. Also, this is technically a higher low, and this is indicating that maybe this downtrend is actually starting to reverse into an uptrend. I've been talking a lot about how we're stuck in this bull flag formation with a price target of about $100,000, and unless we break down below $60,000, I'm not worried about it, but I am still waiting for us to finally break above the 50-day moving average, which I think is going to be the confirmation signal that's going to send us skyrocketing upwards. For now though, it does look like we're still stuck within this range, and hopefully we're going to be breaking out soon, but it could still go on for a couple more weeks. Luckily, later on today, we do have the Fed speaking, and maybe he's going to say something dovish that's going to send us to the upside. But also, we do have some really great news, which a lot of people in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency have been saying is going to be happening, and now it's finally starting to come to fruition. According to this article by Bitcoin Magazine, it looks like Wisconsin Investment Board has become the very first state pension to buy spot Bitcoin ETFs, holding more than $162 million worth. With this just being the very first state to add Bitcoin spot ETFs to their pension funds, I think that this is going to set a really great example for other states, and as other states start to see that their pension funds aren't keeping up with rapid inflation, but Wisconsin is actually pulling through, they're going to take this example and run with it, adding Bitcoin ETFs to their pension funds as well, and this is going to cause all kinds of huge money to flood into the markets. This is just the tip of the iceberg though, as the state of Wisconsin has actually also added $99 million worth of Bitcoin spot ETF to their investment board. Wisconsin is obviously trying to lead the way as a crypto-positive state, but it's not just happening here in America. Also, the Swiss bank giant UBS has also jumped on the Bitcoin ETF train, and according to a recent regulatory filing, Swiss banking giant UBS now owns 3,600 shares of Bitcoin's iShares ETF, and now they've also decided to start letting some of their customers trade using Bitcoin ETFs. Additionally, BlackRock has seen sovereign wealth funds and pension funds coming into Bitcoin ETFs, according to CoinDesk. And we already covered the pension funds, but a lot of people have been talking about sovereign wealth funds, and this could be even bigger than the pensions. Both of these two areas are where a lot of the world's money actually is, and as people continue to put their retirement savings into cryptocurrency, I think this is going to solidify it in the people's minds as a solid investment. And again, we're probably going to be seeing this set a great example that we're probably going to be seeing other sovereign wealth funds and pension funds following suit. And it's still going to take them a little bit of time to do their due diligence, but I think we're finally starting to see the inflows that we were expecting whenever the Bitcoin ETFs were first launched. We did see a slight lull in the inflows in Bitcoin ETFs, and we even saw some outflows over the past couple of weeks. But according to this article on the block, it looks like the US Bitcoin ETFs have returned to net inflows following 4 weeks of outflows. It says the Bitcoin ETFs returned a net inflow totaling $116.8 million last week, and this could indicate a return to inflows and a possibility that we're going to be breaking out of that bull flag in the coming days. There has been a lot of speculation that with the Hong Kong crypto ETFs being approved, that it was going to be acting as a backdoor for mainland China investors to actually get into crypto. And I have added to this rumor, obviously. I've mentioned it a few times on my channel. But according to this article on CoinDesk, it says, no, Hong Kong's crypto ETFs are not available in mainland China. Well, they aren't right now, but they might actually be coming up soon. And while they're not legally available in mainland China, there might be some people who live on the mainland but also have a house in Hong Kong or something like that who can get in through the back door or something, or maybe there's people doing illegal activity. But as it goes on to say, the rumor that Hong Kong's crypto ETFs are going to be acting as a backdoor for mainland China investors just won't cease. The reality is that while crypto is still available to mainland Chinese investors in limited amounts, having an ETF available with in-kind redemptions would open the floodgates of liquidity, posing a threat to Chinese capital controls. Obviously, the mainland Chinese government has probably thought about this if an idiot like me is talking about it on my channel, and they're probably trying to do all that they can do to make sure that mainland Chinese investors aren't using the Hong Kong ETFs as a backdoor. But there has been some recent news that might actually make these Hong Kong ETFs available to mainland Chinese investors, as according to this article on cryptonewsbtc.org, the Bitcoin price is suddenly braced for a massive China ETF crypto flip. I think this article is basically a really bad translation from Chinese, but stick with me. It says what I'm optimistic about is, with these guidelines and these rules in place, Hong Kong truly might discover an option to be this bridge for China to Bitcoin and to the higher crypto ecosystem in an approach that is extra protected, extra managed, or regulated. Ben Gagnon, chief mining officer at Canada-based Bitfarms, told the South China Morning Publish, and he included that Hong Kong Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs may very well be a conduit for Chinese language buyers. Bitcoin Asia Convention and Hong Kong organizer David Bailey, chief governor of Bitcoin Inc., which owns Bitcoin Journal, informed the SCMP the lately accepted Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs in Hong Kong are essential as they use the in-kind redemption mannequin, I think that's supposed to be model, quite than the Wall Road Bitcoin ETFs. I think that's supposed to say rather than the Wall Street Bitcoin ETFs so-called money creates model, not mannequin. Like I said, this is just a bad translation, but it basically is saying that there's probably going to be an option for mainland investors to actually invest in the Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong, because as the chief governor of Harvest, one of the corporation that provides the spot Bitcoin ETF in Hong Kong, stated, it's seeking to open up the Bitcoin ETF to the mainland buyers by way of the ETF bridge program inside the subsequent 2 years if every part goes nicely. Apparently, Hong Kong and China have an ETF bridge program that might actually let Hong Kong ETFs be traded in China, but this is going to have to be approved by the CCP, obviously, so it's probably going to take a couple of years, even if everything goes perfectly, as he said. Hopefully, we're going to be seeing this come to fruition a little bit faster than what he's saying, but I think that if Hong Kong investors continue to make really great gains in the Bitcoin ETFs, mainland Chinese investors are also going to demand that they can invest in some of these ETFs. And if mainland China doesn't get their own ETFs, then I'm sure hopefully eventually they're going to be getting this bridge program to allow the mainland investors to invest in the Hong Kong ones. All right, I'm done talking about Hong Kong and China, honestly. I mean, their market currently pales in comparison to what we've got going on over here with the Bitcoin ETFs in America. And really, so far, even though their ETF launches were lackluster and people were really disappointed by the inflows, which actually turned out to be outflows, I don't think it's actually going to matter that much, as it really hasn't anyway, because the Hong Kong ETFs have only been seeing several millions of dollars in daily flows, but we've been seeing up to $1 billion in daily flows from just the BlackRock ETFs alone. Finally, we've got an update here about why Ethereum's ETF could be denied. According to James Seyfarth, one of the leading ETF analysts, it is increasingly likely that the SEC is going to deny a slew of ETFs by claiming that the underlying cryptocurrency is a security. Not a guarantee that they will do this, but I think that it's almost guaranteed that the SEC is at least considering it, Seyfarth added. And this came after finance lawyer Scott Johnson opined that Ethereum's legal status was likely to appear in the agency's upcoming ETF order. And according to Johnson, the SEC is supposed to provide a notice of the grounds for disapproval under consideration. The SEC claims that it was improper to offer commodity-based trust shares since the underlying asset is a security. Notably, this wasn't an issue that Bitcoin ETF had to deal with. I pretty much agree with James Seyfarth. I know that Gary Gensler trembles at the idea of announcing that Ethereum's not a security, literally, but even though I think it's probably going to be delayed on this information right here, basically, I think it is eventually going to be approved. It just might be a couple of more months or maybe even next year until we start to get any kind of positive confirmation that it might actually go through. According to this article on Bitcoin.com, it looks like we've got another analyst, Eric Balkunis, expressing skepticism about the prospects for the spot Ether ETF approvals by May 23rd. He cited limited engagement between the SEC and potential issuers, Furthermore, the uncertain regulatory status of ETH and the SEC's investigation into the Ethereum Foundation complicate the situation. He did cite limited engagement, but maybe he said this before this article by Cointelegraph came out that says ARK and 21 Shares have dropped their staking plans from the Ethereum ETF proposal. They haven't made any official announcements, but Eric Balchunas has suggested that the update may be a response to potential SEC feedback. So maybe he is starting to change his theory there. But until we do get an official announcement, I think his thesis, right along with mine, is probably going to remain the same, and I do expect the May 23rd deadline to turn out to be a delay. But as this article goes on to say, the upcoming US election for November also factors into the equation. If a former President Donald Trump secures a second term, there's a high chance of a leadership change at the SEC, potentially resulting in more crypto-friendly chair replacing Gary Gensler. This, along with the hopeful replacement of the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, could both send the crypto markets accelerating astronomically to the upside. And as it goes on to say, assuming that the new chair takes office in April or May, and filings are promptly submitted thereafter, the deadline for approval or rejection could be around December 2025. Eric Balchunas opined, if there is a new president, you file again, maybe you get approved, or you sue. Either way, it's going to take a whole nother year to play out. And pretty much I agree with this. I don't really see the SEC approving this ETH ETF or Biden letting it go through as well. The Democrats have been absolutely attacking cryptocurrency, and I think that this is going to be a really big election issue. So we're probably not going to be seeing the Democrats who are currently in charge pass one of these ETFs. But Donald Trump has said that he is pro-cryptocurrency recently, so hopefully he's going to replace the SEC chairman with somebody who is going to approve these ETFs. But as it does say right here, it is probably going to take a while. But in my opinion, it's just a matter of time until one of these things gets approved. I know this was a lot of really technical and boring news today, but it is very important. But hopefully we're going to be seeing something exciting come out tomorrow that's going to send retail investors FOMOing back into the market. Until then, I do still expect us to head a little bit sideways, and the longer we consolidate, the more explosive the movement that comes up afterward is going to be. But this kind of strong fundamental news that I covered in this video is what's going to give other businesses the confidence to actually release their exciting news. And hopefully this boring news was actually just a signal that we're going to be seeing that confidence returning to the market over the next couple of weeks. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Was this just the fundamentals building up so that companies can start to release all kinds of products and announce that they're adopting cryptocurrency technology? Or is this just a sign that the summer lull is coming and we should just walk away in May and come back for the Santa rally? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if I brought you value. But most importantly, don't forget to do only good every day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.